Okay, just a little check update here. So this is going pretty good, still flaring out nice. What has happened is I have run out of my wider material that I'm weaving with. So what I did is I stopped on top of the stake right there. And this is just like any, plated flat reed basket. So you're going to back up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This guy goes behind here. So you don't see where he starts, and you don't see the end because that's covered up there. And then I just go again. So I just wanted to show you how this is continuous weave. It just goes round and round, right? Because it's a chase weave on an odd amount, even amount of stakes will work. So that's what we're doing. And I'm going to flare this out to maybe 10, 12 inches, and then I'm going to start bringing it in. So we'll come back then. All right, so I have run out of my smaller weaver. So usually I would say do the dogtail, but on this it's not going to show because it's going to be on the inside of the pumpkin. So I just lay that inside behind that stake where it's going to come out. And then I go again. Okay, so since I've got you here, let's take a look at the shape and see how it's doing. Pull this up a little bit. So you can see I'm still flaring out, still coming out, and right now I'm at about like 9.5 inches, and that is with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm working on the 6th of my larger material row, okay? And I'm going to keep flaring out a little bit longer. And when I get to the point where I'm going to start coming in, we'll talk about how that happens and what adjustments you need to make. The basket is at about 11.5. I could probably go maybe another round. Let's start from this way. And it's about, actually it's 12. About 12 inches. And this is kind of like where we're at this point. So I think what I'm going to... Okay, so I started this out real loosey-goosey, no pressure. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding some pressure. I've gone out probably as much as I want to go out. And now I'm going to start coming in. So when you look at coming in, it doesn't come in quick. It's gradual, right? So this is about as much as I flared out to that point. And then you got to kind of, before you come in, you got to kind of level it out. So you're not going in and you're not going out. And that's about 5 rows. And then we start pulling in again. So about 4 or 5 rows of just... leveling it out, and then we're going to come in. And I might have gone up too high on that. I don't know. We're playing with it to see what happens. Because if you look here, we had about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows, and then there was like 5 of flat, and then the rest of it's coming up. We'll see. Every pumpkin's different, and yours will be too. So when I say I'm going to pull on this and start shaping, so I'm going to take a stroke, and I'm going to pull just a little bit. And that, you'll think, oh, that's nothing. So maybe I'll do 2 of them, and I'll pull just a little bit. And it's like maybe 1/8 that's pulling. You think that's not going to make a big difference, but it does. So a couple of strokes, pull just a little bit. Not a whole bunch. And then if it's coming in too fast, then you do 3 strokes, and you pull just a little bit. Okay. And pull just a little bit, and then you're going to follow the same thing up, and you don't want it to buckle, so you're looking here because you can't come up. It'll only come up as how do I want to say this? If you try to come up too quick with too much pressure, it'll buckle, and that's not what you want to happen. So now I'm doing the wider guy, right? And I'm going to pull just a little bit. So I'm going to do about 4 rows, and I'm going to show you what it looks like and how much it has decreased, if any, the diameter. So you can see that it is starting to come in on the side some, and like there's a buckle. If I have a buckle where I pulled on it too tight, what I can do is walk it through and tighten it up where it ends up. I don't see too many buckles. So this is starting to come in, but now I really want it to come in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this wet, and then I'm going to tie it up with a rubber band. So it looks more like this for a while, just so I can really start getting some incline into the basket, and I can watch my shape better. I can do that. So this is kind of the shape that I'm looking for. But in order to do that, I need to get this wet and tie that up. So that's my next step. All right, so I have tied it up, and I want to make sure that when I do tie it up, that I've got it centered, because you don't want it one side off to the other, because whatever shape you got is what you're going to weave, basically. You're telling it the way to go. Now, before I did this, I made sure that I had it really wet in warm water. Okay, so I'm going to get another guy going here, but I wanted to show you how that looks when you get it on. I gotta put another one back here too. So let me get that wet, and then so basically what that does is helps you to stop doing that gradual thing and actually get after it as far as it goes to the inside. Now there'll be a point where I'm gonna take this off again and just let it relax a little bit. But for right now, I want that tension on it, telling it, no, seriously, we're going in. So that's how it's looking. Okay, let's see where we're at. You can see now that I am actually starting to fold these in, which pooches this out more, which is more the shape that I'm trying to get. As I go in closer here, you'll see, of course, that I have less room. And the reason that some of these are longer is just to help with shaping. Okay, so I'm going to push those down. It'll get to a point where it's way too tight, and then these inner guys, the smaller ones, are going to go away. So we're going to keep pushing that in. You can either lay it on top and push it, or you can actually push it to the inside, and that kind of pooches it out more, which I like better. So you can see the difference. See how that pooches? And they'll get a point here where it just gets tough to do either this with this chase weave, and so then I'll change over and actually twine again. So that's where we're at right now. See how the shape looks? Looking pretty nice. All right, so I'm at the point now where this is getting really tight. So I want to end about where I started, and I started with a taper here. So I'm going to taper this piece and weave it in like so. I'll back that out so I don't have a chunk there. And I'm going to weave this in to, this is my marker for the end of that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change to twining again. And I'm going to drop these inside guys here. So let me get another weaver quick, and I'll show you what I'm talking about, because it's just too thick anymore. It's too thick, and it's still not close enough for me to put that, I guess, pumpkin stem in. So I am, oops, sorry, I'm gonna get rid of those small stakes by basically treating them like they don't exist. And they're just gonna go in the inside of the pumpkin and disappear. All right, so I'm going to do 3 or 4 rows of that and see what my space looks like to add my pumpkin stem. So let's check our shape. It's looking pretty good. We're getting closer. Now it's about time to add your driftwood handle. Now what I do with the driftwood handle is I put a plug in it because I don't want this pulling out. So I just use a 1/4 inch drill bit and drill across from it, and then I'll take like a piece of number 8 and a little bit of hot glue, and that way if somebody lifts it up, it's not going to pull out. And it's probably at the point now where I can stick it in and see how it looks. So I want that peg down below the weave so it doesn't pull out. So that right now is what that's going to look like. Okay, so now I won't come all the way up here, but I will go ahead and keep that in here while I'm weaving until I get up to a point where it just really can't weave it anymore, and then I'll wrap it. So that's what's next. So this is about as close as I can get that weave. So what I've done is I made a loop and I came around there, and all this does is just act as an anchor. And then I started wrapping. I want to get this as tight as I can. And what I'll do with this then, my little anchor piece when I get done, is I will thread it through here and tighten it up. In fact, I can do that right now. I'll do it later. Anyway, so I'm going to keep going, wrapping this up as tight as I can for as long as I can. Well, that's good and secure. Now I made sure that my driftwood stem, the piece that I glued in, my stopper, whatever you want to call it, is down below here, so it's not going to pull out because everything loosens up once it dries, and I don't want that somebody to grab it and it to pull out from the top. So that's probably good enough. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my awl and I'm going to open up a space here for that to thread through, and I'm going to cut that down. What I'm going to do is keep that tension on. I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to thread this through like that. And then I'm going to make sure that tension's tight and pull that through. Now, it wouldn't hurt to thread this through too, and maybe bring it out at a different point. Like that. And that's the same thing I'm going to do with my beginning here. I'm just going to thread it through. And then tighten it up. And get it through there. There you go. Tighten that up so it's not going anywhere. Okay. And then I'll cut those off. Cut these off. And what I'll do now is I'll trim these up on top here. And all you have left is the feathers. Now when I first did this on my first basket, because I'm experimenting, I put the feathers on before I did this. I don't think you have to. Or is fine. So then I have to look at it and decide, okay, what side is my better one for this? Do I want this over to the side more? Probably. You know, I got some things that I can do here. I can twist that over some. I can, you know, I can work on my shape a little bit as long as it's wet. So I will trim up my little things that need trimmed, and then we'll do some feathers. All right, let's try it again. See how those feathers look? Also notice that they're always behind. Okay, so we're going to do that next. First thing we're going to do is give that a little water. All right, we're going to open that up just a little bit. You can either use an awl, or you can use rewrite, whatever works for you. So the first one that we're going to put in here, see that's broke, so I'm going to cut that off. You want the rough side to the inside on this. All right, so I'm going to count, starting with this one that I want under 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you always want to cut that a little extra because it's got to poke in there and you don't want it coming out. So I'm going to open that up a little bit and I want to put it underneath between the round reed and the flat reed. Not on top of it, but where the round reed is on top of it. Okay, and then I want to shove that over as far as I can. And I'm going to put my next one underneath. Okay, and that one you can push all the way down in there. The rest of them you don't need to, it just helps secure it. Cut it a little bit longer. Take your awl, open it up, and tuck it in. And then I come over here and shove that all the way over to the outside. And then if I think this can go back over a little bit, I'll come over and do that too. So the only thing that you're doing now, once you get started, is you are always going underneath. Okay? And then I'm going to come up here to the next row, where that next row of your round reed is, and I'm going to open that up and tuck that in. Now, if it's easier for you to tuck it in first and then put that in down here, that's fine too. What's going to happen as you keep building here, you're going to have more room to put this down in here because it just goes underneath all that. And like I say, when you cut it up on top to go in, you want to make sure you got some extra because you don't want it popping out. So I'm going to open that up, stick it in, bring it all the way over. And again, so you can see that I can open this up a little bit. And I'm going to put that down as far as I can without it showing. And then the farther up that you go, the more space that you have to put these in. And when you get to the top, it'll be, of course, tighter because it's smaller. But see, I can push that up if I want, and then just push it down some. And then I can do the same thing here. All right, so this is the last one I'm going to do. And I mean, I continue going up, but just for our demonstration purposes, you can see what we're doing. So you get them in and you shove them all the way over so they flare good. And then you do it again. If that one's showing a little bit, then you can push that up. Okay? And you'll do that the whole way up. You can see that it does get narrower up here, so it is a little bit harder. Flares out more here and all the way around. And there you have it. There's your pumpkin.